Retail Service Quality Management, along with MPhil from Madurai Kamaraj University and MBA in Marketing from Andhra University. He also holds a PG Diploma in International Business from Pondicherry University and is qualified the National Eligibility Test. With 23 years of professional experience, including 21 years of teaching and 2 years of industry, he has brings a unique blend of academic rigor and practical insight. He has, to his credit, 62 publications in international journals, 7 in national journals, participation in 20 seminars and conferences, and has successfully completed 2 research projects. He has also organized 7 academic events and conducted 12 training programs, demonstrating his commitment to academic and professional development. Professor Uday Bhaskar Garu has represented Indian academia on the global stage, having presented research in the USA, Malaysia, and Singapore. His leadership as Dean of Studies, Student Affairs, reflects his dedication to student growth and institutional excellence. Thank you, Anandal, for giving me this opportunity. Now, I welcome N. Uday Bhaskar Garu come and speech on research group. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Good evening, all. Respected Principal Sri Ramraj Garu, faculty of CR College, students and research scholars of CR College, my good friend Professor R. Srinivas Rao Garu, and we know each other, Hariprasad Garu, Professor Hariprasad Garu. We did some workshop in COVID, and this is first time we are meeting physically. Thank you for organizing such a wonderful workshop and inviting me for this workshop. And without wasting much time, let us get into the topic, because as it told by workshop, let us focus on delivering some content. I don't know what Hariprasad Garu covered in the morning, and may I know, sir, what we covered in the morning?
Literature starting, sir. How to select the topic and how to map the topic.
Yes, sir.
And some literature review.
Why I am asking this, because I should not repeat the same, otherwise you may feel bored of it. So that is the purpose. It doesn't make the content. So, sir might be covered the literature review and maybe the essentials of the basic research. My point is to focus on the quantitative data and qualitative data. In our university also, we thought of delivering several sessions, but sometimes we may miss. But because of the advantages of the affiliated colleges, we feel privileged so that we can disseminate whatever the little we know to the audience. So don't consider that this is a class. So this may be a sharing of information. I have one question for the house. How many of you have completed PhD, sir, in this house? Thank you. How many are joined for PhD, sir? Okay, thank you. So I would like to know the maybe the rest of the group may be interested to do the research. I assume this. Maybe I came to know that some are students are also there. So this will focus on This will focus on the types of quantitative data and qualitative data, maybe related to the social sciences I'm focusing on rather than the pure science. So let us go on to the next aspect. Next slide. As I told you, I don't want to dump it so that I don't want to confuse you. So most of the management and social science research, they will end up with by administering some question, and they collect the data, and then they analyze the data, and they present some meaningful interpretations of the data. So this comes to the quantitative part of the research, And some students who are pursuing MBA, MCOM, or maybe other graduates, if you are preparing a questionnaire or if you are asking some questions, collecting the responses from the questions and finalizing the data, we comes under the quantitative data. So I don't want to spend much time on this because very few are PhD registered and very few are completed their PhD. But my job is like to create awareness about what is qualitative data and what is quantitative data. Qualitative data is something which doesn't have a scale or which doesn't have a standard scale. What we will do is we will, through observation, through experience, through learning, if we are able to interpret something, then we will call it as a qualitative data. Suppose I would like to assess the lifestyle of ఏలూరు people. ఏలూరులో ఉండే వాళ్ళు ఎలాంటి లైఫ్ స్టైల్ ఉంటుంది అని అనుకుంటున్నారని తెలుసుకోవాలనుకుంటే how they behave in a mall, how they behave in a theater, and what are their habits, traditions, conventions, customs, and all those things. I would like to know the culture of Eluru city. Then it comes under the qualitative research. So when you say the term called culture, it is a big word. Then through experimentation or through observation or through participation, through focused group discussions, I will learn something. This comes under the qualitative part. So to understand the quantitative, we should understand the quality. So that's why I started my presentation with the qualitative parts. Then we will understand some aspects of the quantitative. Then we will understand about the research model. Then we will understand how to measure a variable. So that is what the overview of the presentations are. And that was happened in two objectives of this session. One is to understand the basics of qualitative research, to understand the concept and philosophy of measurement. So before going to measure, somebody told whatever that exists in this world exists in some form and some quantity, but we don't have standardized tool to measure it. ఈ ప్రపంచంలో ఏదైతే ఉందో అదంతా ఒక డిఫైన్డ్ క్వాంటిటీ, డిఫైన్డ్ లిమిట్స్ లోనే ఉంది, కానీ మనకు మెజర్మెంట్ కి టూల్స్ లేవు. సపోజ్ ఒక స్టార్ ఉంది అనుకోండి, ఆ స్టార్ ఎంత డిస్టెన్స్ లో ఉంది అనుకుంటే we may not be aware, but how to measure the distance from you and from a star? But you can measure the distance from here to bus stand, which is very easy and which is very visual. So some scale has been developed to measure the distance. Some scale was not developed to measure the distance between two galaxies or between two stars. But the point is that whatever that is available in this universe is in a finite quantity, but there is some scale is there. That is the philosophy of the research. We will go slowly. We will go slowly into that. So let us understand the qualitative research part. So this is very general. How we know anything? So we have beliefs, we have faith, we have reasons, and we have science. So if you understand something through your belief system, then it comes under faith. God, divinity, religion, community, these are all comes under what is the basis of the presence of God. If I ask, just casually, I am asking, then you say it's my belief, it's my faith. But you feel it. So faith is something through which you are knowing something. The second is something like reasoning. So reasoning is something you know how to do, what to do, or maybe by trial and error basis. Trial and error basis. Anything, if you are able to know something, trial and error basis. Suppose how do you drive a bike? Then you go for demand, try, you fell down, then again you learn something, then you know the cause and effect of one experiment, the other experiment, then over a period of time, you will be learning how to ride a bike. Maybe reason. Then if you are established a clear-cut relationship between few or many variables, then we will call it as science. Science requires absolute proof. The difference between science and social sciences is, to the best of my knowledge, is science is absolute. Like 2 + 2 is 4 in India, in America, or anywhere. So it is absolute. But in social sciences, it is not like that. So we deal with perceptions, we deal with attitudes, and am I boring you? So 3 ways of knowing. One is we all of us have faith and belief system because through that we know something. Or we experiment something through reasoning. Based on that, we will be knowing. Or science which proves. So many chemistry formulas, equations and all, they prove. And that proof is valid across the globe, across the countries, then we will call it as science. These are the three ways of knowing, either by faith, either by reason, either by science. But for research, faith don't have any importance, belief don't have any importance, but reason and science have importance. That's why we will call it as scientific research. Scientific research means whatever you say, whatever you justify, whatever you theoretically assume something has to be proved at the end of your research. That is what your whole thesis is. So those who are already completed the PhD, they will be submitting a big book. The big book ultimately proves some relationships, establishes some variables. That is the end of the story. So you are proving something that ultimately comes under the science part. So this is what I'd like to focus on. So qualitative research, only 4 types is there. Grounded theory. I don't want to focus much on this. Ethnography, phenomenology, and field research. If you are interested to understand a lifestyle or culture, conventions, traditions, customs of a community or a group of people, then we will come under the grounded theory. So what is the underlying factors are there? Then issues like grounded theory is explained underlying social process of a culture group. As I told you in the beginning, I would like to know the culture of Eluru people. In what way it is different from Telangana? Sar is from Telangana and we are from Andhra. Is there any difference between Telangana and Andhra? So rather than asking a question, you can participate. You can stay sometime in Telangana, sometime in Andhra, understand their cultures, how do they observe their festivals, etc. This all comes under the grounded theory. Then ethnography is something like that, the way of life of a cultural group, study of human behavior in the cultural context in which it is embedded. Let us say you want to understand the behavior of weavers, or you want to understand the lifestyle of a fisherman, the challenges and issues of fisherman community. Then you are specifically understanding issues and challenges of fishermen or weavers, or maybe some particular social class of particular group, then we will call it as ethnic. Then phenomenology is focusing on the lived experiences from the perspectives of the participants. Then action research is something like you want to understand the behavior of a tribal, then you become the tribe, behave like a tribe, be merge with them, immerse with them, live with them, eat with them. Then we will call it as a action research. So there is one common underlying is there. That particular common underlying is like you are observing. You are observing either through grounded theory, either through phenomenology, or ethnography, or action research, and there is no valid proof for it. Your observation becomes the instrument. I'm just explaining. Your observation is the source of your research. So that is how it will go. So maybe initially it will be like this. So ethnography, cultural and cultural groups, grounded theory, cultural groups, phenomenology, individual experience, field research, individual and experience. As I belong to social sciences, this more is applicable to the social sciences. If somebody are interested, I'll share the PPT here, and whomever are there, Dr. Arasar will share that particular PPT, so that you can also understand. So qualitative research is really tough and difficult compared to quantitative research. Administering a questionnaire, collecting responses, then tabulating them is very easy. But understanding a phenomena, understanding a situation, and drawing conclusions from that situation is very difficult, which I am thought of focusing on. Either any one of this particular technique may be used. Those who are already in the data collection, they will understand what I am saying. Those who are not in the data collection, they have to go with this. So, qualitative methodology, I still want to focus on this. The third point is very important. The instrument of the qualitative research is the researcher. there is some incident happened and you are investigating that particular incident. Please be అమ్మ ఒక నిమిషం బ్యాక్వర్డ్ అన్న కొద్దిగా ఆలోచించేట్టుగా some incident was happened and you are investigating that particular incident and you are taking interviews from different part of the people. Let us say you are the sub inspector of police of a particular case incident and you met several victims or something like case list and you interviewed and you are coming to conclude that who is the culprit of that particular case. This entire process function of the so it is your observation, it is your understanding, it is your perception, how you are drawing conclusions, who is guilty. So this entire process comes under the researcher becomes the instrument. So the research experiences becomes valid because of his experience. That is what the beauty of the qualitative research, and there is no standardization of the instrument. I ask one example. ఇప్పుడు రిఫ్రెష్మెంట్స్ సర్వ్ చేశారు కదా కింద సమోసా ఇచ్చుంటారు కదా అందరూ సమోసా బాగుందా లేదా అనేది ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది తెలుస్తుంది అది ఎవరి ఇండివిజువల్ ఒపీనియన్ వాడదే ఎవరి ఇండివిజువల్ ఒపీనియన్ వాడదే నేను అంతా టాబులేట్ చేస్తే క్వాలిటేటివ్ రీసెర్చ్ క్వాంటిటేటివ్ రీసెర్చ్ నా ఒక్కడి ఒపీనియన్ నాకు అర్థమైందే చెప్తే qualitative research. So we don't know how I feel. You don't know how I felt about the quality and taste of that particular item. Is it understandable to you? So there is no defined way for qualitative research, but most of the PhDs are mix of qualitative and quantitative. We will understand quantitative also. Don't worry, we'll go. So here sample is not random. Random sampling అంటే మళ్ళీ ఏంటని అడగండి random sampling మీ సార్ అలా మీకు చెప్తుంటారు sample is not random just like that it will go data is not numerical. It is not possible to quantify the data unlike in the quantitative research. Data is in the types of field notes, audio tapes, video tapes, photographs, documents and reports. So I take మీ సమస్య తిన్నప్పుడు మీ facial expression చూస్తాను మీ facial expression చూసి వావ్ అని ఎవరైనా పెట్టారనుకో just I'm giving an example, then I can understand that the taste is good. So you have given a sad expression. I came to know that I'm not asking you whether the samosa is good or bad, but I am observing you through your facial expressions. Based on the facial expressions, I am understanding the taste of the samosa. Then we will call it as qualitative research. So field notes, audio tapes. So these are qualitative research and quantitative research. Quantitative research, it is very easy. As I told, you will prepare a question, SRO will be there, scaling will be there, and the data will be collected. But qualitative, there is no scaling, there is no standardized instruments. Sampling is also non-random. So this is self-explanatory. Most of if you are speaking teachers, it is very easy to understand. This is our case. So in case of quantitative research, we will define a problem. Then according to the research questions will come and accordingly the questionnaire will be prepared, data will be collected, tabulated, analyzed, interpretations will be there. So the entire research process goes in a linear manner, straight line method. But in case of qualitative, it is a cyclical process or the many iterations, the many cycles you do, then you will understand the phenomenon of a particular situation or particular incident or particular behavior of a particular group. Then that is what the difference between quantitative research and qualitative research. Then let us understand I'm not talking about MBA project works. I'm talking about the theoretical developments of a research proposal. When you talk about a research proposal or submitting, the first step in PhD is like we have to submit a research proposal. I think most of you may be familiar with that. Or maybe in MBA you have to select a topic. So most of the MBA projects are copied. I should not say in public. Sorry, sir. That's a different story. I don't want to focus on that. So research proposal or when you are preparing a research paper. So these questions you should ask. Then which factors logically should be considered as particular explanation of the social or individual phenomena of interest. Criteria for consideration is comprehensiveness and parsimony. The interest is, I'll ask a simple question. So you may be knowing sales is one, sales is, most of the companies are interested in how sales to improving the sales. So we are focusing on sales, a particular variable, and sales is influenced by several factors. What are the factors? Sales పెంచాలి, సేల్స్ ఎలా పెరుగుతుంది? కాస్ట్ తగ్గించాలి, క్వాలిటీ పెరగాలి, కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ పెంచాలి, డిజైన్ బాగుండాలి, వారంటీ ఉండాలి, గ్యారంటీ ఉండాలి. సో దేర్ ఆర్ 1 to 10 నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ ఉంటాయి. నేను చెప్తుంది, 1 ప్రైస్ తగ్గించాలి, 2 క్వాలిటీ పెంచాలి, 3 డిజైన్ పెంచాలి, 4 5 6 7 8 10 ఇవన్నీ ఉన్నాయి కదా. సో one variable is sales. There are several other dependent variables are there, and the question here is that what are you going to measure? What are you going to? So forget about sales. I would like to measure teacher satisfaction of CRND college. This may be somewhat relevant. ఈ కాలేజ్ లో ఉన్న టీచర్స్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ ఎలా మెజర్ చేయాలి? నేను మెజర్ చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాను. టీచర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ ఇస్ 1 వేరియబుల్. టీచర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ దేని మీద ఆధారపడి ఉంటుంది? సాలరీ ఒక వేరియబుల్, అంతేనా? స్టూడెంట్ పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ చెప్పండి, ఏదైనా చెప్పండి.
కెరీర్ గ్రోత్
ఉంది ఆర్గనైజేషన్, ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్ ప్రొవైడెడ్ బై ది కాలేజ్, వర్క్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్, వర్క్ కల్చర్, ఎమికబుల్ బిహేవియర్ ఆఫ్ ది కొలీగ్స్, family. All these things will affect the satisfaction of the faculty. Yes or no? So forget about sales, forget about faculty satisfaction. My point is like, what variables, what factors are logically should be considered as part of explanation of the social or individual concern. What you are going to measure? What is your research interest? What is your research interest? Are you interested in measuring teacher satisfaction? Or are you measuring sales, growth of sales? Or are you measuring teachers loyalty? Are you measuring administrative capabilities of an individual? What exactly you are measuring? That is what you are interested in measuring. What factors that caused you for you to contribute for the research? So here 2 factors are there. One is comprehensiveness and another one is parsimony. Parsimony, comprehensiveness, both are comprehensiveness means whatever you are going to measure, there will be n number of factors are there. Out of n number of factors, some factors only contribute to the maximum portion of that particular factor. We call it as comprehensiveness. So I'll explain with a simple example. Anybody is from economics? Economics, sir. Demand is influenced by several factors. Will you agree? Demand of the product is influenced by several factors. Price, technology, etc. will be there. By considering all these factors, ignoring all other factors, law of demand is proportionate to demand is influenced by price. Higher the price, lower is the demand. Lower the price, higher is the demand. So there are several other factors out there you can debate also. But for our convenience and understanding of demand, we have taken only one factor, that is price. Demand is directly inversely proportional to price. So price is comprehensively affecting the variable called demand. Like that, teacher satisfaction of CRT college is influenced by what factors? మీరు ఇందాక 10 చెప్పారు, 10 ఇంపార్టెంటా, 5 ఇంపార్టెంటా, 4 ఇంపార్టెంటా, 2 ఇంపార్టెంట్, 1 ఇంపార్టెంట్? This you should understand. So that reflects the comprehensiveness. If you take those factors, that should definitely represent the teacher satisfaction in CR college. This is little theoretical, but you will understand, don't worry. So what you are going to measure and how you are establishing the theoretical relationship between 2 variables. The relationship between the variables are really genuine or value. That's what I want to say. Then how explains how the identified factors are related and provide the causal relationship among the factors. So I would like to focus on the causal relation. Causal is nothing but cause and effect relationship between the variables. Cause and effect. Cause and effect ante change in one variable causes the effect on the other variable. So for my ease, I am taking advertising and sales. Advertising పెంచితే సేల్స్ ఏమవుతుంది పెరుగుతుందో తగ్గుతుందో ఒక ఎఫెక్ట్ ఉంటుంది. సో అడ్వర్టైజింగ్ అండ్ సేల్స్ has a cause and effect relationship. Higher the advertisement, higher the sales. And I would like to know the cause and effect relationship between advertising and sales. Maybe in chemistry or maybe in other sciences, if you take some drug, then obviously some disease will cure. The point is how much quantity of drug you should intake so that the drug will, the disease will be cured. మీకు జ్వరం వచ్చింది, పారాసిటమాల్ ఎంత వేసుకోవాలి? 250 mg, 500 mg, 1000 mg. కాజ్ అండ్ ఎఫెక్ట్ చేసి చెప్పాలి, ర్యాండమ్ గా వేసుకోకూడదు. డాక్టర్ చెప్పాడు, ఐఎమ్ నాట్. సో దేర్ ఇస్ ఎ రిలేషన్షిప్ బిట్వీన్ ద క్వాంటిటీ ఆఫ్ మెడిసిన్ అండ్ ది symptoms of the disease. So curing of the disease. So cause and effect will be explained by the how. So what and how constitutes the domain or subject of the theory. So these are the two important aspects whenever you thought of submitting a research proposal or maybe preparing for a research or maybe anything. So you should ask yourself what you are interested in. You should also ask yourself how they are related. Then obviously 50% of your research proposal is completed. That's it. If you are able to answer what and how of your research, then why it explains the identified selected methods on what basis. So it is like Euro justification of that particular research. So చాలా మంది రీసెర్చ్ లో కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ ఇన్ ఏలూరు, కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ ఇన్ విజయవాడ, కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ ఇన్ కాకినాడ, కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ ఇన్ విశాఖపట్నం తీసుకుంటారు. కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ కారణమే జియోగ్రాఫికల్ ప్లేస్ మారుతుంది. సో అక్కడ వాడు చెప్పదలుచుకుంటే చెప్పడానికి అవసరమైనది ఏంటంటే ఎందుకు వాడు కాకినాడ తీసుకున్నారు, ఎందుకు వాడు ఏలూరు తీసుకున్నారు, ఎందుకు విశాఖపట్నంలో తీసుకున్నారు అని చెప్తే ఆ రీసెర్చ్ జస్టిఫై అవుతుంది. Otherwise, if you fail to say that, then obviously it is comes under the repetition of the research. So you have taken some variables, you identified a research gap, and that particular research gap should be explained in this particular parameter. Am I with you?
Yes.
Okay, why should be explained? It's a justification from your part of your research proposal. Then it's like the theoretical glue that binds the model together. I will show the model also, don't worry. Then what and how describes and why explains the research phenomenon of a particular case. So you have to ask all these things. Then who, where, when, these set the boundaries of generalizability and as such constitute the range of the theory. So whether your research is a new topic or already researched topic, or how many did research in this particular area, has covered the review of literature. The purpose of review of literature is how much extent of the research is already done and what should be done for the future. అంతే. సో అది ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది మీకు? మీరు రివ్యూ ఆఫ్ లిటరేచర్ చేస్తే తెలుస్తుంది. మీరు ఈ పేపర్ చేసినప్పుడు కూడా ఈ బౌండరీస్ ఆఫ్ రీసెర్చ్ మనకు తెలుసుకుంటే దెన్ యువర్ రీసెర్చ్ ప్రపోజల్ విల్ బి వెరీ వెరీ అప్రోప్రియేట్ అండ్ యాప్ట్. సో హూ డిడ్, వేర్ దే డిడ్ అండ్ వాట్ దే డిడ్. If you are doing in the same manner, there is no purpose or fun of doing the same research. If you are doing something different, you are establishing a new variable, then obviously it will be right. So what is your interest, research interest, and how that is valid, why it is important, then who did it, where they did it, where they did it, and why you are doing now. So if you ask all these things, then obviously your research proposal is ready. So this takes at least 1 year to 1.5 years to understand these 6 headings. So I covered in just 20 minutes, but it's not like that. So if you are preparing a robust, strong research proposal, then these 6 questions has to be answered, and that becomes the heart of your research proposal. So this is a sample research model, which is my aspect, my research, so that I feel comfortable. I am measuring service quality of a retail store. This is the variable I would like to measure it. How I am measuring service quality? I am measuring service quality through physical aspects of a retail store, reliability of the retail store, personal interaction of the retail store, convenience of the retail store, courtesy of the retail stores and policy of the retail store. నేను రిటైల్ సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీ మీద నేను రీసెర్చ్ చేశాను. మీరు మనం డిమార్ట్ కి రిలయన్స్ వెళ్తాం కదా, సో అక్కడ ఆ రిటైల్ స్టోర్ బాగుందా బాగాలేదా అనేది నా రీసెర్చ్, అది నా వేరియబుల్ మధ్యలో ఉన్నది. సో సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీ ఆఫ్ రిటైల్ స్టోర్. సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీ ఆఫ్ రిటైల్ స్టోర్ దేని మీద ఆధారపడి ఉంటుంది? చాలా వేరియబుల్స్ ఉంటాయి. కాంప్రహెన్సివ్నెస్ ఇందాక చెప్పాను కదా, నేను ఆరే తీసుకున్నాను. ఫిజికల్ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్, రిలయబిలిటీ, పర్సనల్ ఇంటరాక్షన్, కన్వీనియన్స్, కర్టసీ అండ్ పాలసీ. And I extended my research that service quality will affect customer satisfaction, service quality will affect customer purchase behavior, and customer satisfaction will also affect customer purchase behavior. Then I should understand what is customer satisfaction. I should define it. I should understand what is customer purchase behavior. I should define it. Customer purchase behavior అంటే మీరేంటని అడిగితే నేను చెప్పాలి. కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ అంటే మీరేంటని అడిగితే నేను చెప్పాలి. సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీ మీరు ఎలా మెజర్ చేస్తున్నారంటే నేను ఈ 6 వేరియబుల్స్ ద్వారా నేను మెజర్ చేస్తున్నానని చెప్పాలి. 6 ఎందుకు తీసుకున్నారు, మిగతా ఎందుకు మర్చిపోయారు అంటే ఐ హావ్ టు గివ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్. వై ఎంత చెప్పాను కదా, వై I have taken these 6. Is it understandable what I said? This is a model. If you come to this particular level, then this makes some kind of sense for you for doing the research. If some error goes, then obviously you will change your research model. So there is no unique pattern of following the research model. You should have your own research model. You should have your own research variables, and you should justify your research model. Then how these variables are not measured? Then items were used for measuring service quality. I have asked 26 questions to measure the variable called service quality. Okay. Can I measure your intelligence? మీ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ నేను మెజర్ చేయొచ్చా చేయకూడదా? మీ అర్థమెటిక్ ఎబిలిటీని మెజర్ చేయొచ్చా చేయకూడదా? రీజనింగ్ ఎబిలిటీని, మీ జనరల్ నాలెడ్జ్ని, forget about all this. How a banker will select the candidate to IBPS? IBPS exam కి క్లర్క్, ప్రొబేషనరీ ఆఫీసర్స్ చేస్తారు కదా, బ్యాంక్ వాడు ఒక ఎగ్జామ్ పెడతారు. ఆ ఎగ్జామ్ లో 100 క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నాయి అనుకుందాం. ఐబిపిఎస్ ఎగ్జామ్ లో దాంట్లో వాడు మీ అర్థమెటిక్ ఎబిలిటీ, రీజనింగ్ ఎబిలిటీ, జనరల్ నాలెడ్జ్, ఇంగ్లీష్ ని మెజర్ చేస్తాం. సో అర్థమెటిక్ ఎబిలిటీ 25 క్వశ్చన్స్, ఇంగ్లీష్ 25 క్వశ్చన్స్, జనరల్ నాలెడ్జ్ 25 క్వశ్చన్స్, ఇంకోటి ఏం చెప్తున్నాం, రీజనింగ్ 25 క్వశ్చన్స్. దీని ద్వారా మీరు బ్యాంక్ జాబ్ కి ఫిట్ అవుతారా లేదా అని వాడు ఎగ్జామ్ పెట్టాడు. Is it understandable? It is also same. A banker is interested who is the best fit for his bank. So he find a method of conducting an exam which should test their arithmetic ability, reasoning, English and general knowledge. It is a very simple logic. How he is testing arithmetic ability? He is asking some 25 questions. The error is whether the 25 questions will really test the arithmetic ability is the error. That will cover, I will cover later. But మీకు అర్థమైంది కదా, మనం ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ మెజర్ చేయొచ్చు, అర్థమెటిక్ ఎబిలిటీని మెజర్ చేయొచ్చు, ఏదైనా మనం మెజర్ చేయొచ్చు. ఏ క్వశ్చన్స్ అడిగి మెజర్ చేస్తున్నాం, ఆ క్వశ్చన్స్ నిజంగా దాన్ని మెజర్ చేస్తున్నాయా లేదా అనేది మన కాన్సెప్ట్. ఐఎమ్ హియర్, మై ప్రెసెన్స్ ఈజ్ లైక్ దట్. యు ఆర్ ఆస్కింగ్ ది రిలేటెడ్ క్వశ్చన్స్, whether you are really measuring what you are supposed to measure. So I will go back again. So this is a sample research model. I am interested to measure the service quality. This service quality I am measuring by asking the 26th question. Suppose if you ask why 26, sir, why not it can't be 30? I have to explain. 26 సరిపోతాయి. Review of literature support this law. 20 క్వశ్చన్లు అడగచ్చు కదా, నేను మళ్ళీ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ ఇవ్వాలి. అదే క్వశ్చన్ ఎందుకు పెట్టారు అది మళ్ళీ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ నేను ఇచ్చుకోవాలి, బికాజ్ ఐ యామ్ డూయింగ్ మై research. So it is your research. You have to give justification for it. You can ask, are you, that is how it should go. Then I usually 3 more variables. One is customer satisfaction and purchase behavior. So customer purchase behavior, I am measuring by asking 7 questions. Customer satisfaction, I am already measuring 13 questions. Is it understandable to you? Now I would like to measure your weight. నేను మీ వెయిట్ మెజర్ చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాను. ఎలా మెజర్ చేయాలి? ఆ సాఫ్ట్వేర్
Six million.
నేను మీ వెయిట్ మెజర్ చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాను. ఎలా మెజర్ చేయాలి? Weighing machine. Why weighing machine? Can I lift you and then can't I measure it? Right? I'm an expert in that. I measured many like that. Don't you accept it? You will accept it or you don't? మీరు accept చేస్తారా చేయరా? ఎందుకని? It is not valid. It is not scientifically proven. It is not scientifically proven. Scientifically proven is weighing scale. It is scientifically proven, tested, validated. So I have to bring a weighing machine, then I have to measure it. Then you will accept. If I say that I will lift you, then I will say your weight is 40 kg. There is no validity for it. But these are the items already used by my earlier researchers and they are valid. They told they are valid in their research and I am adopted their scales. That means somebody already measured in the earlier research. So for me it is easy. So I am using their scale and I am measuring. నేను మళ్ళా కొత్తగా వెయింగ్ మెషిన్ కనిపెట్టలేదు. ఎవరో కనిపెట్టారు నేను వాడుతున్నాను. నేను అలాగే కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ మెజర్ చేయడానికి అంతకు ముందు ఉన్న రీసెర్చర్స్ కనిపెట్టారు స్కేల్ ని. నేను నాకు తగ్గట్టుగా నేను మార్చుకొని యూస్ చేస్తాను. యాజ్ సింపుల్ as easy to understand for you. If the scale is validated by somebody else, you can still use this particular scale. Like how you are using the weighing scale, which is invented by. So we will go to little aspect. So this is, if you are understood up to this extent, then we will go to little forward of this. So judging factors of conceptual research papers also plays a crucial role. So most of the scholars are also interested to publish in good journals, maybe Scopus or something, or maybe high index papers. And this focuses upon what is the criteria for considering the paper into a journal, which is common to any journal. So this is also not my thought. Somebody has already published a paper. So these are the important factors that any author will look into it. So first one is what's new, significant contribution and arguments for current thinking. So whenever you research, whenever you submit a research article to any journal, the author of the journal or the review of the journal will rate your paper on this particular dimensions. So the first dimension is what's new. In contrast to the existing body of knowledge, is there any value addition by your paper or by your research? To what extent? To what degree? That is also there. So degree means how different is this from the current thinking. So how much field or extent that is impacted. So మీరు ఏలూరులో ఉన్న రిటైల్ కస్టమర్స్ బిహేవియర్ పబ్లిష్ చేశారనుకోండి, స్కోప్ ఎంత వరకు ఉంటుంది? ఏలూరు వరకే ఉంటుంది. Somebody published the retail customers behavior of AP, then scope is up to AP. Somebody compared to two states, then scope is between students. So whenever you are contributing something, they understand their newness, degree of newness in two subparameters. One is scope and another one is degree. To what extent it is different from the existing or how much of field it is extended. Suppose you compare the two countries, then the scope is very, very wide. Then the probability of accepting the paper is also high. So I am not confusing you. It's not always the geography. It's also sometimes the depth of your research also. So you identified a new molecule through your experimentation, then the depth of the research is very high. Then obviously that paper will be published in Nature or some other big journal or reputed journal. But you have to know to what extent it really contributes or how much of the field that is going to extend. మీరే కొత్తగా కరోనాకి వ్యాక్సిన్ కనుక్కున్నారనుకోండి, మొత్తం ప్రపంచానికే వ్యాక్సిన్ వస్తుంది. సో ఆబ్వియస్లీ పేపర్స్ అన్ని ఆటోమేటిక్ వస్తాయి. The depth of the research is so deep, so that obviously you will get more attention on it. Then you should ask, so what? Will the idea of research likely change the practice of organizational change or in this? Suppose at the end of the research we give suggestions. suggestions or conclusions or maybe research findings. So whether the research findings will really change the existing organization practices or not, that is also one should check to this. Then why so? These questions underline the logic and supporting evidence of the research. Are the views of the researcher believable? So believable is something like to what extent the attractiveness of that article is there. So how many మనకి citation index and citation index అవన్నీ అంటారు కాబట్టి how many of your fellow researchers are also interested in your research. మీరు ఒక రీసెర్చ్ టాపిక్ తీసుకున్నారు, పబ్లిష్ చేశారు, దాన్ని నెక్స్ట్ జనరేషన్ వాళ్ళు తీసుకుంటున్నారా, తీసుకోవడానికి ఇష్టపడుతున్నారా, ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేయడానికి ఇష్టపడుతున్నారా అనేది కూడా ఆ రీసెర్చ్ అట్రాక్టివ్నెస్ కూడా ఒక పారామీటర్ గా తీసుకుంటారు. Then well done or journal research. This is true. Well done is something like does the research reflect seasonality, conveying completeness and thoroughness. Journal research is something like logical influence of the research, consistency and reliability. Journal research లో ఏ విధమైన ఎర్రర్స్ ఉండవు, చాలా అంతా బాగుంటుంది, నీట్ గా ఉంటుంది, తప్పులు ఉండవు, కరెక్ట్ గానే ఉంటుంది. వెల్ డన్ రీసెర్చ్ చాలా అద్భుతంగా ఉంటుంది, కొత్త ఇన్సైట్స్ ఉంటాయి, కంప్లీట్నెస్ ఉంటుంది, రిప్రజెంటేటివ్నెస్ ఉంటుంది, కొత్త థాట్ ప్రొవోకింగ్ గా ఉంటుంది. ఒక చిన్న ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్తాను. మనం ఎక్కువ మంది టీచర్స్ ఒక్కొక్కసారి మనం బాగా ప్రిపేర్డ్ గా క్లాస్ వెళ్తాం, ఒక్కొక్కసారి క్లాస్ మేనేజ్ చేస్తాం. Because by the virtue of our experience, it is easy to manage the class. It doesn't mean that you are not taking the class, you are taking the class. You know that you are managing the class. Nobody else knows that you are managing it. So some papers are like that. There were no errors. Justification is good, review of literature is good, statement of the problem is good, but still some vacuum, some hollowness will be there in the. Yeah. We will call it as a that will organized well. Well done is different. It's absolutely good. Absolutely good appear to be good. There are two aspects of it. So it is our justification. We should understand. Then why now this research is contemporary, whether it advances the current discussions or who cares? What percentage of the people are interested in this research? నా రీసెర్చ్ మోడల్లో సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీ రిటైలింగ్ నేను చేశాను. ఎందుకు చేశారంటే రిటైలింగ్ ఎందుకు చేశారు? చాలా సెక్టర్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా. వై రిటైలింగ్? వై డోంట్ యు డూ సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీ ఇన్ ఫార్మాస్యూటికల్ ఇండస్ట్రీ? వై డోంట్ యు డూ సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీ ఇన్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్? వై డోంట్ యు డూ సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీ ఇన్ హాస్పిటాలిటీ ఆర్ హోటల్ మేనేజ్మెంట్? అసలు సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీ ఎందుకు చేశారు? Then we should ask, and one should ask, or we should aware of who cares. Who cares means the beneficiary are the retailers. Based on the thesis publication, whether the outcomes of the thesis will really help the retailer to offer better services through stores. ఈ thesis ఒక రిటైలర్ చదివితే ఆ రిటైలర్ వాడి స్ట్రాటజీస్ మార్చుకోవడానికి నిజంగా వాడికి ఉపయోగపడుతుందా? వాడికి అర్థం కాదు. వాడికి అర్థం కాకపోతే మనకి దానివల్ల రీసెర్చ్ చేయాలి. మనకి పిహెచ్డి వస్తుంది, అవుట్కమ్స్ వస్తే అప్లికబిలిటీ we have to accept the case. I am going. It is applicable for research and judging papers. What's new? మీ పేపర్లో ఏం కొత్తదనం ఉంది? కొత్తదనం ఉంటే అది ఎంతవరకు ఉంది? డిగ్రీ ఎంతవరకు ఉంది? స్కోప్ ఎంతవరకు ఉంది? డెప్త్ ఎంతవరకు ఉంది? ఎంతవరకు అది హారిజన్స్ ఎంతవరకు ఉన్నాయి? సో వాట్? సో who are అది నిజంగా పబ్లిష్ చేయడం వల్ల ఇండస్ట్రీ కానీ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ ప్రాక్టీసెస్ కానీ ఏమన్నా చేంజ్ అవుతాయా? ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ కరెంట్ థింకింగ్ ఏమన్నా మార్పు ఉంటుందా? Then we have why so, well done, done well. I have already explained why the one who does. ఇప్పుడు ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నారా రీసెర్చ్? అంతకుముందు ఎవరు చేయలేదా? మీరే కొత్తగా చేస్తున్నారా? ఇది నిజంగా కొత్త పేపర్, ఆ కొత్త థాట్ ఏంటి? Who are actually interested? Who are the beneficiaries out of that particular research? Either the government or the individual or the college or the society who are interested in this. So I think up to this extent I thought of the explaining the purpose of doing the research. Being the researcher, being the teacher, we should convince ourselves of doing a good quality research to the best possible considering our limits. Everyone has limits, everybody has financial constraints, time constraints, I know all these things, but we have to convince ourselves that to the best of our abilities, the research should be good. So that is the point we'd like to go. Then the actual concept of measurement, I'm not focusing maybe discussing that. Then once you understand it, then scaling, maybe statistical techniques becomes easy. Once you know the blueprint of what you are doing, then obviously you can adopt the suitable statistical techniques and procedures so easily. So this is what, but you should understand the concept of the measurement in a simple manner. I'll try to explain. Maybe in the beginning, I thought of saying this, whatever exists at all, exists in some amount. Whatever exists at all, exists in amount. But we are not competent enough to measure all these things. So మనకి weight measure చేయడానికి weight machine ఉంది, distance measure చేయడానికి కిలోమీటర్స్ ఉన్నాయి, కొంతవరకు స్కేల్స్ డెవలప్ చేశారు, కొంతవరకు స్కేల్స్ డెవలప్ చేయలేదు. Suppose if you are interested in measuring something, there were no scales, it is your job to develop certain scales and those scales has to be validated. Here నేను ఎందుకు వాడుతున్నానంటే scale is something which is validated by many researchers and proved that it is good. So that's what scale అంటే మనం యూస్ చేసే scale కాదు. So what is measurement? It is very simple, assigning numbers to observations. If you observe something and you are giving numbers to your observations, then it is nothing but the measurement. And the beauty of assigning the numbers is the concept of the measurement. So I'll skip this. So it is easy to measure height, weight, distance because these are all absolute. Height measure చేయడం, weight measure చేయడం, distance measure చేయడం, absolute measurements అలా easy. I want to measure your interest in this class. నేను మీ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ మెజర్ చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాను ఈ క్లాస్ మీకు నిజంగా ఇంట్రెస్ట్ గా కూర్చున్నారా, మీ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఎంత వరకు ఉంది అనేది నేను మెజర్ చేద్దాం. ఇది డైరెక్ట్ మెజర్మెంటా ఇండైరెక్ట్ మెజర్మెంటా? ఇట్ ఈస్ డిఫికల్ట్. And the questions which I ask is not 100% guarantee. There is no 100% guarantee that it will really measure the interest of the participants. Then that's the toughest challenge. When I say satisfaction, when I say loyalty, when I say many votes, these are all comes under the indirect measurement. I would like to measure the enthusiasm of a student in the class. Then it comes under the indirect measurement. Then that is the toughest part, and we are dealing with the toughest part only. So direct measurement, already standard scales are available. Okay, I think you may be interested. Shall I skip this? This is elementary. So nominal scales to ordinary scales, ordinal, interval, ratio scales. So I would like to know how many male and female categorical data on that one. Then we will use the nominal scale. ఎంతమంది male and ఎంతమంది female ఈ క్లాస్ లో ఉన్నారు. So I use the nominal scale. So I'll skip this. Then so let us understand this causality and measurement. Measurement requires some causal interference. Causal interference is something like variation in one variable will cause variation in other variable. That's how the scale will be developed. So changes in the level of latent entity cause changes in the level of an indicator variable. That's how we will develop the scale. I'll show the diagram, then you can understand it. So actually we are, suppose you are మనకి టెంపరేచర్ ఉందా లేదా అని మనం బేసికల్ గా ఏం మెజర్ చేస్తాం, థర్మామీటర్ యూస్ చేస్తాం. ఓకే, థర్మామీటర్ లో యాక్చువల్ గా మనం చూసేది ఏంటి, లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ మెర్క్యూరీ లెవెల్ చూసి అది 98.4 ఉంటే టెంపరేచర్, లేదు 98.4 కన్నా ఎక్కువ ఉంటే టెంపరేచర్ ఉన్నట్టు, అంతే కదా. బట్ అది ఇండికేటర్ వేరియబుల్. So actually that the mercury level won't measure, it was standardized. So the thermometer itself is standardized to measure your temperature. But actually you are measuring is, what you are seeing is mercury level, which doesn't have any significance. But these two are linked, and that's how we are measuring temperature through thermometer. మనం చేంజ్ ఇన్ ద మెర్క్యూరీ లెవెల్ చూసి థర్మామీటర్ ని మనం టెంపరేచర్ ని అసెస్ చేస్తున్నాం. అప్పుడు ఏం చేయాలి, మనకి టెంపరేచర్ ఉంటే మెర్క్యూరీ లెవెల్ పెరగాలి. అది కాజ్ అండ్ ఎఫెక్ట్ వేరింగ్. టెంపరేచర్ లేకపోతే మెర్క్యూరీ లెవెల్ పెరగకూడదు. నార్మల్ టెంపరేచర్ ఉంటే మెర్క్యూరీ లెవెల్ 98.4 దగ్గర మెర్క్యూరీ లెవెల్ ఆగాలి. ఆ అడ్జస్ట్మెంట్స్ అన్ని చేసి ఆ స్కేల్ ని డెవలప్ చేశారు. దట్స్ వై వి విల్ సే ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ స్టాండర్డైజ్డ్ స్కేల్ టు మెజర్ ది టెంపరేచర్ ఆఫ్ an individual. Forget about mercury level. I would like to measure the temperature using thermometer, which is digital one. Digital mercury level over here. After I measure the temperature, it's also a new scale which is conditioned by many iterations that the digital visibility should reflect your actual temperature. Otherwise, the scales has to be upgraded. ఇప్పుడు కొత్త థర్మామీటర్ వచ్చేది, దాంట్లో మెర్క్యూరీ లెవెల్ ఉండదు, కానీ ఏదో ఒక ఇండికేషన్ ఉంది, ఏదో ఒక కాజల్ ఇంటర్ఫిరెన్స్ ఉంది. చేంజ్ ఇన్ వన్ వేరియబుల్ రియల్లీ కాజెస్ చేంజ్ ఇన్ ది అదర్ వేరియబుల్. దట్స్ వై యువర్ మెజరింగ్ సంథింగ్. కానీ యాక్చువల్ గా ఆ మెర్క్యూరీ లెవెల్ మీ టెంపరేచర్ కాదు, మెర్క్యూరీ లెవెల్ మీ టెంపరేచర్ కాదు, కానీ స్కేల్ బట్టి మీరు టెంపరేచర్ చేస్తారు. Am I confused? Are you with me? So in this case is something like I told you, when the banker is interested to test your intelligence, he is asking 25 questions. If the 25 questions are really valid and sufficient to measure your intelligence, then it is a solid and validated scale to measure your intelligence. So likewise, so this is the indicator. Indicator is mercury level, construct is temperature. Indicator is mercury level, construct is temperature. Whether mercury level is visible, construct is visible. Mercury level is visible variable, construct is not visible. But we are measuring the construct through some mechanism. That is the beauty of the measurement. So here the construct is the temperature. Temperature we are measuring through usage of the thermometer, and mercury level is the visual indicator. Is that correct? So likewise, we can measure anything. We can measure anything, but what suitable scales has to be developed. So thermometer is tested. I measure the temperature of X, Y, Z, and so on. I tested 100 times, and all the 100 times it given the same result. Then I say that this thermometer is valid to test the temperature. So temperature ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి టెంపరేచర్ లేని వాళ్ళకి దానికి 100 సార్లు నేను యూజ్ చేశాను. అన్ని సార్లు కరెక్ట్ గా పనిచేసింది. దాని తర్వాత నేను ఏం చెప్పాను, దీన్ని యూజ్ చేయొచ్చు అని చెప్పాను. దాని నమ్మకం కొంతమంది వేరే ప్రదేశాల్లో వాడారు, అక్కడ కూడా అదే రిజల్ట్ వచ్చింది. దెన్ ద స్కేల్ ఇస్ వ్యాలిడ్, ప్రూవ్, దెన్ ద స్కేల్ ఇస్ అడాప్టెడ్. సో లైక్ but actually we are measuring construct. Construct is an observable variable, but real observable variable of the latent. So this is the theory of this. So likewise, you can measure anything. So developing constructs is the challenge. So many of the social myths. Can curiosity can be measured? ఇందాక నేను enthusiasm అని చెప్పాను. మన curiosity of a student can be measured or not? Curiosity visible variable, invisible variable? Invisible variable. I can ask. So this slide says that by asking the 10 questions, curiosity can be measured. I developed a scale using 10 variables. My friend will extend my study and he added 2 more questions. Then the scale will be updated. Then 10 questions అంటే curiosity మెజర్ చేశాను, కొంతకాలం నడిచింది, ఇతర దాన్ని కాంట్రాడిక్ట్ చేశారు. 10 క్వశ్చన్లు అడగటం వల్ల క్యూరియాసిటీ మెజర్ అవ్వలేదు, 12 క్వశ్చన్లు అడగటం వల్ల కరెక్ట్ గా మెజర్ అవుతుంది అనుకుంటుంది. సో స్కేల్ డెవలప్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. ఓవర్ ఏ పీరియడ్ ఆఫ్ టైం మీకు క్యూరియాసిటీ మెజర్ చేయడానికి ఎన్ని క్వశ్చన్లు అడగాలి అంటే తెలుసు. Is it understandable? So curiosity is the construct. Curiosity is the construct, and items are nothing but the questions which you are asking are this. Then we can measure attitude. Attitude is the construct. Attitude is invisible. మీ attitude ఎలా ఉంటుంది, అది ఇన్విజిబుల్ గానే ఉంటుంది, కానీ మనం తెలుసుకోవచ్చు. ఆ క్వశ్చన్స్ కరెక్టా కాదనేది మన ఇట్స్ అ డిబేటబుల్ థింగ్, బట్ దట్ ఈస్ ది ఛాలెంజ్. దెన్ కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్. We can measure loyalty. Can we measure or not? Can we measure love? Can we measure love? Yes or no? We can measure. Love is also invisible. Affection is also visible. Feelings also visible. Feelings can be measured. I am not saying I can measure 100%. నేను 100% మెజర్ చేస్తానని చెప్పట్లేదు. ఎర్రర్ ఉంటుంది. To some extent, I can measure up to 40%. Somebody will increase to 50%. Somebody will increase to 60%. Maybe at one point of time there will be one standard question, one standard scale will be there, which are there to measure your emotions. Emotional intelligence measure చేసే questions ఉన్నాయి. అన్ని మెజర్ చేయొచ్చు. మెజర్ చేయకపోతే మనం చేస్తాం. Then a new scale will be developed. So that is the philosophy of the measurement. If there is some constraint that nobody focus, then you can focus on it. So what questions to be asked so that you can measure it? Narcotics test to example for criminal intention తెలుసుకోవడానికి కూడా నార్కోటిక్స్ టెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నాం. సో మనం ఎర్రర్ ఉంటుంది, ఛాన్సెస్ ఆఫ్ ఎర్రర్ ఉంటుంది, అట్ సేమ్ టైం ఛాన్సెస్ ఆఫ్ సక్సెస్ కూడా ఉంటుంది కదా. సో డోంట్ సే దట్ యు కెనాట్ మెజర్, వి మెజర్. మై పాయింట్ ఇస్ దట్ scale is already developed, scale is not developed. Like for weight, scale is there. For love, scale is not there. We can develop. Affection can be measured, feelings can be measured, emotions can be measured. What emotion that you are interested, that is again a big question. So I'll go a little deep into this. So how constraints are relating? I think this is the fundamental aspect. What you are measuring, what is indicating is not your measure. Your measure is invisible. That what we will call it as constraint is a research. So constraints are latent variables, unmeasured variables, unobserved variables, and scores. So temperature అనేది మనం ఫీల్ అవుతాం, unobserved గా ఉంటుంది, కానీ థర్మామీటర్ లో మెర్క్యూరీ లెవెల్ మనకి విజిబుల్ గా ఉంటుంది. సో టెంపరేచర్ is a constraint. Is that clear? Like customer satisfaction, like loyalty, like attitude, like anything. So this is a basic measurement model. Basic measurement model. దాంట్లో construct measure 1, measure 2, measure 3. And for each measure I have taken error 1, error 2 and error 3. So I am measuring a construct by asking the 3 questions. And each question has an error whether the question is really measures the construct or not. నేను ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ మెజర్ చేద్దాం అనుకో నేను 3 క్వశ్చన్లు అడుగుతున్నాను. ఆ 3 క్వశ్చన్లు నిజంగా ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ మెజర్ చేస్తాయా లేదా అనేది ఎర్రర్. సో ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ ఇస్ ద కన్స్ట్రక్ట్. 3 questions I am asking, that is measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, and each question has an error whether it will really measure it or not. Considering the error, I am measuring the intelligence. So this is more understandable for you. That's why we will say in statistics 95% confidence level. అంటే ఏంటి దాని అర్థం? 95% confidence level అంటే 95% probability is true. There is 5% probability that the measure is goes wrong. There is 5% probability. If I say 99% possibility, then 99% the measure, the construct is true. There is 1% probability that the measure may be a failure. నేను ఇక్కడ అబ్సల్యూట్ వెయిట్ తీసుకున్నాను అనుకోండి, వెయిట్ ఇష్యూ లేదా అది 100% ఉందనుకోండి, 100% మెజర్ కరెక్ట్. ఒక్కొక్కసారి 95% అంటే అవుట్ ఆఫ్ 100 times 95 times ఆ స్కేల్ కరెక్ట్ వెయిట్ ఇస్తుంది, 5 times అది సరిగ్గా చేయబడుతుంది. సో ఒక కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ కి ఎన్ని మెజర్స్ తీసుకోవాలి అనేది కూడా రీసెర్చ్ బట్టి మనం తీసుకోవాలి. సో మీరు ఏ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ అయినా తీసుకోవచ్చు, ఏ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ అయినా మెజర్ చేయొచ్చు. ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ లిటరేచర్ లో ఇఫ్ ఆల్రెడీ సంబడి డెవలప్డ్ a construct, by quoting their name in your research, you can adopt their scale and then you can use it. If nobody developed a scale and you are thought of measuring something new, so you have to develop a new scale. So my point is this. So this is how to develop a construct. So some theses will end by developing a scale. కొన్ని theses స్కేల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ చేసి ఆగిపోతాయి, అంత రీసెర్చ్ జరుగుతుంది. ఇంకా నెక్స్ట్ వాళ్ళు దాని స్కేల్ అప్లికబిలిటీ చూస్తారు. మార్కెటింగ్ స్టూడెంట్స్, సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీలో ఉన్నవాళ్ళు 1980 86 to 89. Parashurama and service quality scale ని డెవలప్ చేస్తారు గ్యాప్ అనాలిసిస్ లో. MBML లో కూడా మీకు సర్వీసెస్ మార్కెటింగ్ లో గ్యాప్ అనాలిసిస్ 1986 లో ఆయన స్కేల్ డెవలప్ చేశారు. సర్వీస్ క్వాలిటీ బై ఆస్కింగ్ 5 డైమెన్షన్స్ అని. స్టిల్ 2025 లో కూడా ఆ స్కేల్ మనం చాలా మోడిఫై చేసి యూస్ చేస్తున్నారు. కొత్త స్కేల్ వస్తే ఆ స్కేల్ వదిలేసి కొత్త స్కేల్ మనం యూస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. బట్ ఇఫ్ యు వాంట్ టు డెవలప్ ఎ స్కేల్, దిస్ ఇస్ ద ప్రొసీజర్. ఐడెంటిఫై ఎ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఇంట్రెస్ట్, develop construct a constructive definition, operational definition, measurement scales, evaluate the reliability and validity of the scale, utilize the scale for measurement and diagnosis testing. If you understand what is a construct, if you understand what is a measurement, then it is easy for you to measure it. You can develop it for the scale demonstration. So this is a happiness scale. Happiness scale, which I'm taking a random. You may agree with this, you may disagree with this. Sorry, 5 కాకుండా 6 ఉంటే బాగుందని అన్నారు అనుకోండి, we can improve. లేదు 4 సరిపోతుంది అనుకున్నారు అనుకోండి, we can improve. The point is like there is a meaningful difference between one to the other, one to the other. So how happy you are with this class? Just I'm asking. మీరు ఈ క్లాస్ కి హ్యాపీగా ఉన్నారా లేదా అని నేను అడిగాను అనుకోండి, సో దానికి ఏమి చదవక్కర్లేదు, ఏమక్కర్లేదు. ఇట్స్ హ్యాపీనెస్ స్కేల్. ఆర్ యూ హ్యాపీ విత్ మై సర్వీస్ అని రిటైర్ మీకు ఇచ్చాడు అనుకోండి, యూ కెన్ థింక్ ఇట్ సో ఈజీలీ. ఇఫ్ యూ ఆర్ అనేబుల్ టు డిఫరెన్షియేట్ బిట్వీన్ 2 and 3, 2, 3 ఒకే రకంగా ఉన్నాయనుకోండి ఆ బొమ్మలు, ఆ డయాగ్రామ్స్, దెన్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు చేంజ్ ఇట్. దెర్ ఇస్ నో quantitative data. I am just asking that you are happy or not. So one extreme is extremely happy, another extreme is extremely unhappy. It's a representative diagram, but still it is a scale. So this is 1 and that is 1 and this is 5. Extreme happiness, extreme unhappiness, మధ్యలో ఉన్న చూడండి neutral. Neither happy nor unhappy, somewhat happy, somewhat unhappy, somewhat happy, somewhat unhappy. I'm happy, I'm unhappy. I don't know whether I'm happy or not. That is the symptoms. So this is also a scale, and this can be modified and one. So this is favorable, unfavorable. This is a line scale. So of a student assessment కూడా scale is 0 to 100 marks. So maximum is 100, lower part is 0. So that is also a scale. Accordingly, you can go for measurement of a particular scale. That is also there. Then this is what the temperature, which will start a scale from here. So the very best and the very worst. So whenever we take feedback from the students, so it is also some scale that a questionnaire has been given. The intention of the questionnaire is to measure the performance of the teacher by asking certain questions. So there is an error that all the questions will reflect the performance of the teacher, or there may be error, or whether the students are really understood the purpose of the questionnaire or not. That is the possibilities of error are there. But still, the objective of taking feedback is to measure the performance of the teacher. So this is another important aspects of a particular stage. Whenever you talk of measuring something, one should ask about reliability and validity. So sometimes the scale may be reliable. Reliability is something like when you are repeatedly using the scale, if it is giving the same results, then we will call the scale is reliable. Validity is something like what the purpose of the scale should not be defeated. See, I want to measure the distance from one place to another place, but I am measuring in gauges. Then there is no fun. So I am measuring distance, but I am measuring it in gauges. So there is no valid scale. So we don't measure distance in gauges. So distance may be in kilometers. So but I am measuring in gauges. Then the purpose got defeated. Then the scale is not valid. So whether the construct or the item which it is supposed to measure, we will call it as validity. Through SPSS, you can measure the reliability and dynamic scales. So it is easy for you by applying pilot study. If you administer the questionnaire for 100 to 150, then you can measure the reliability and validity of the scale. If the validity and the reliability are not satisfactory, that means the questions are not understood by the respondents in the true spirit, or there is a problem in the questions. So మీరు క్వశ్చన్స్ అడిగేసి కరెక్ట్ గా వాళ్ళకి అర్థం కాకపోవచ్చు, ఆర్ మీరు కరెక్ట్ క్వశ్చన్స్ అడిగి ఉండకపోవచ్చు. సో క్వశ్చన్ మార్చాలి, లేదంటే సీక్వెన్స్ మార్చాలి. అవన్నీ చేసిన తర్వాత మన వ్యాలిడిటీ రిలయబిలిటీ స్కేల్ చేంజ్ అవుతాయి. సో దీస్ టూ ఆర్ వెరీ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. సో దేర్ ఆర్ see, this is an example. A person with a store of cat will do well in business. So construct validity, criterion validity, the other aspects are it. I'm trying to go little into this. So content validity is something like this is a simple Venn diagram. So you are interested only the intersection of these two parts. You are not interested to measure the other part of this, then we will call it as content validity of this particular aspect. So you are only interested in the intersection of this, what it is supposed to measure. Maybe in 2-3 minutes, I will conclude. So please bear with me. So this is what I thought of focusing on. Earlier discussion, we thought of measuring only one particular construct, but there will be sometimes overlapping of constructs will be there. Overlapping of constructs means the constructs will appear similar. So we may confuse in what we are measuring, or the respondent also may be not clear for which he is giving the responses. Then there will be having some bias in the answers. So that bias we will call it as construct validity. So మీరు construct A, C, B, D మీరు మెజర్ చేయదలుచుకోలేదు. మీరు ఓన్లీ ఆ మధ్యలో ఉన్న కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ మెజర్ చేసుకున్నారంటే, లైక్ ఐ సే కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్, కస్టమర్ లాయల్టీ, కస్టమర్ యాటిట్యూడ్, కస్టమర్ పర్చేస్ బిహేవియర్ అన్ని ఒకే రకంగా ఉంటాయి. బట్ యూర్ ఓన్లీ ఇంట్రెస్టెడ్ ఇన్ టు మెజర్ ద కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్. Then you should not measure customer attitude, customer loyalty, and other things. So then we have to be very carefully asking the questions what exactly it should measure. There should not be any repeatability of. So construct A, when you do the correlation analysis for different constructs, the correlation should be negative. If the correlation is positive between two constructs, that means people are understanding the constructs are similar. The intelligence ni అర్థమెటిక్ ఎబిలిటీకి నేను మెజర్ చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాను. క్వశ్చన్స్ ఒకే రకంగా అడిగాను అనుకోండి, సో అర్థమెటిక్ ఎబిలిటీకి ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ కి హై కొరిలేషన్ ఉంటుంది. కానీ అర్థమెటిక్ అడిగే క్వశ్చన్స్ వేరుగా ఉండాలి, ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ అడిగే క్వశ్చన్స్ వేరుగా ఉండాలి, జనరల్ నాలెడ్జ్ అడిగే క్వశ్చన్స్ వేరుగా ఉండాలి, ఇంగ్లీష్ ప్రొఫెషన్స్ అడిగే క్వశ్చన్స్ వేరుగా ఉండాలి. సో నేను 4 ఆస్పెక్ట్స్ లో ఆ 4 కన్స్ట్రక్ట్స్ కి నేను కొరిలేషన్ పెడితే ఒక కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ ఇంకొక కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ కి కొరిలేషన్ డిఫరెంట్ గా ఉంటే ఆ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ మనం తీసుకోవచ్చు. కొరిలేషన్ హైగా ఉందనుకోండి, దట్ మీన్స్ పీపుల్ ఆర్ కన్సిడరింగ్ దట్ టూ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్స్ ఆర్ సేమ్. Am I with you? So you are measuring the intersection of the middle of the construct, but you should not measure construct A, construct C, construct B, and construct D. You are only measure of this particular. These are the charges of the data collection scale development. So this is the real example. I am interested in measuring self-esteem. Self-esteem ne measure చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నా, కానీ self-esteem అంటే సెల్ఫ్ వర్త్, కాన్ఫిడెన్స్, ఓపెన్నెస్, సెల్ఫ్ డిస్క్లోజర్ అన్ని రిలేటెడ్ గా ఉంటాయి. నేను ఓపెన్నెస్ ని మెజర్ చేయదలుచుకోలేదు, కాన్ఫిడెన్స్ ని మెజర్ చేయదలుచుకోలేదు, సెల్ఫ్ వర్త్ ని మెజర్ చేయదలుచుకోలేదు, సెల్ఫ్ డిస్క్లోజర్ ని మెజర్ చేయదలుచుకోలేదు. I am interested in only measuring the self-esteem. So for that particular construct only the question should be related. Otherwise, in the name of measuring self-esteem, you are measuring openness. మీరు సెల్ఫ్ ఎస్టీమ్ ని మెజర్ చేస్తుందాం అనుకొని కొత్త కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ ఏదో మెజర్ చేస్తున్నారు. దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో అనదర్ ఎర్రర్. So when you do the correlation technique, once the questionnaire was developed and data collection is there, then you will be uploading the data in some SPSS. So how do we know this? Item 1 to item 2, item 3, item 4, if you do the correlation of a particular construct, all the items in that particular construct will have high correlation. Other construct లో ఉన్న item కి negative correlation లో ఉండాలి. So this is what we will call it as convergent validity and divergent validity. అంటే ఒక కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ లో ఉన్న ఐటమ్స్ ని కొరిలేషన్ హైగా ఉంటుంది. అంటే సెల్ఫ్ ఎస్టీమ్ లో ఎన్ని క్వశ్చన్స్ అయితే ఉన్నాయో అన్ని క్వశ్చన్స్ కి ఉన్న ఐటమ్స్ అన్ని హై కొరిలేషన్ ఉంటుంది. ఓపెన్నెస్ కి ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో వాటికి కొరిలేషన్ నెగటివ్ గా ఉంటుంది. So this is what we will be saying. So problem solving construct and factual knowledge construct. So PS1 PS2 కి correlation హైగా ఉంటుంది, but PS1 FK2 కి item కి different గా ఉంటుంది. So you are measuring two constructs. One construct is factual knowledge, another construct is problem solving. So you are asking two questions for problem solving, you are asking two questions for factual knowledge, and the respective correlations are like this. So if a question is repeatedly understood by a particular individual, that means you have to remove that particular question and you have to add another question. So general గా researchers scholars క్వశ్చన్ తీసుకొని వస్తారు, ఈ క్వశ్చన్ సరిపోయిందా లేదా అని. సరిపోయిందా లేదా ఎలా తెలుస్తుందంటే ఈ పైలట్ స్టడీ చేసి ఆ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్స్ ఆ క్వశ్చన్స్ అన్ని అదే కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ మెజర్ చేస్తున్నాయో లేదో తెలుసుకొని దాన్ని బట్టి మనం క్వశ్చన్ మోడిఫై చేసుకుంటూ వెళ్ళాలి. సో మీరు ఏదైతే మెజర్ చేయదలుచుకున్నారో మీ క్వశ్చన్ అదే మెజర్ చేస్తే then we will say that the scale is validated. If you are measuring something other than what you are supposed to measure, then we will say that the scale is not valid. So this is what I thought of saying. So putting all together, convergent and discriminating the validity. Please pay 1 minute attention. I will close with this. So you can construct two ఒకటి problem solving అనేది ఒక construct. How many questions I am asking for problem solving? 3. How many questions I am asking for factual knowledge? 3. So these 3 questions, PS1, PS2, PS3, the correlation should be common because they should reflect the problem solving. FK1, FK2, FK3, the correlation should be common, but they should reflect the factual knowledge. If you conduct correlation for PS1 to FK1, then there should not be any correlation between PS1 or FK1. So మీరు factual knowledge item కి problem solving item కి correlation చేస్తే correlation హైగా ఉందంటే ఒకే క్వశ్చన్ ను రెండు కన్స్ట్రక్ట్స్ మెజర్ చేస్తున్నట్టు ఆ క్వశ్చన్ ని మీరు తీసేయాలి. So that's how the scale will be improved. Is it understandable? So if you go over, keep on iterating many times, you will be knowing how many questions you should ask to measure a particular construct. So how to measure problem solving? How many items I should keep? 3 or 4 or 5. How to measure factual knowledge? How many items I should know? 3 or 4 or 5. So whether these two are related or not related. Then you do the correlation analysis, then only you will understand whether they are actually measuring what they are supposed to measure. So this is what how because of less time I thought of providing time, but I hope you understood what it is supposed to be there. So everyone research is like their own experiences will be there, and one experiences may not match with the another experiences. So it's on your sole experiences to have it. So there is no standard rules, standard method for doing your research, but standard scales are there. Standard rule like scales మాత్రం standard ఉన్నాయి. ఆ standard scale చేయడానికి మాత్రం ఈ ప్రాసెస్ ని మీరు వాడాలి. సో ముందు మీరు కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ ఏంటో తెలుసుకోవాలి, ఆ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ కి ఎన్ని ఐటమ్స్ ఉండాలో తెలుసుకోవాలి, ఆ ఐటమ్స్ నిజంగా ఆ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ మెజర్ చేస్తున్నాయో లేదో తెలుసుకోవాలి, ఎన్ని కన్స్ట్రక్ట్స్ మెజర్ చేస్తున్నాయో తెలుసుకోవాలి, ఆ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్స్ కి వేరియబుల్స్ కి మధ్య రిలేషన్స్ మీరు ఆ రీసెర్చ్ మోడల్ లో రిప్రజెంట్ చేయాలి. Then you will feel happy for what you are actually doing. So, if you have any doubts, I'm open. ఇంతవరకు ఏదైనా డౌట్ ఉంటే నేను నా సాధ్యమైనంత వరకు చెప్పడానికి ట్రై చేస్తాను. మీరు ఏం మెజర్ చేస్తున్నారో అది నిజంగా మీరు మెజర్ చేస్తున్నారా అనేది ఈ టాపిక్ దీని సారాంశం.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful session. Any feedback from the participants? If anyone wants to ask any question, please say any want to ask any question, and one power and ask. Any feedback from the participants?
వాళ్ళకి అర్థమైంది కదా.
ఎవరైనా feedback ఇస్తారా? మీకు చెప్పిన టాపిక్ అర్థమైంది కదా?
ఇగో బాబు
Okay.
Bringing up, first of all, for the arrangement for the audience. Now the experts given very methodology part, also given concepts which are useful for the researchers and also the faculty. And the key aspects like methodology covers all research building. The constructive part, the also faculty from business school, and we are very happy to act with the business part with the Karimnagar, the staff of Karimnagar, who is from the professor and also the congratulate every participant, which is useful for the future research. Thank you for the all of the lesson for the day. Thank you.
Now this successful conclusion of this workshop on enhancing research skills, I would like to invite our principal here on the participate. Please give a big round of applause. And the next, I would like to invite Vice Principal Dr. Is this the law I want to hear? Now I would like to invite Dr. Vilas Babu Elmadegaru, Director PG from the States. I would like to invite Dr. Ramu Garu, Faculty Coordinator on the States. Now I want to invite Dr. Dear Sachinara Garu, Director on the States. Now I would like to invite E. Hariprasad Garu on the States. I am honored to invite this session's today's chief guest, Professor Uday Bhaskar Garu, onto the stage, sir. I profoundly invite Uday Bhaskar Garu to answer our felicitation and token of gratitude to come forward and answer our felicitation. And the felicitation of I request all the dignitaries on the stage to felicitate our chief guest. I request answer to join the meeting, please. Gratitude is a beautiful word. Without saying thank you, can't conclude any function. So now I would like to invite Dr. G.R. Sachinarayan Garu, Director, to propose vote of thanks.
Good evening to everyone. It is with great attitude and respect that I stand before you today to extend my heartfelt thanks to for making this national workshop on enhancing research skills, a workshop on methodology grand success. First and foremost, I wish to express our deepest appreciation to our distinguished guest speakers, Professor P. Kammaji Rao Garu from Acharya Nagarjuna University, Gunturu, Professor E. Hariprasad Garu, Vagesri College of Engineering, Karimnagar, Telangana, and Professor N. Udayabhaskar Garu from our own university, Adhika Vinanaya Rajahmundry. Your insightful discourse and dedication to sciences and arts have inspired the enlightened us all. Your commitment to research and mentorship serves as the beacon to scholars and researchers striving for excellence. We are truly honored by your presence today, sir. I sincerely thank you to respected Secretary Garu, Correspondent Garu, UG courses and PG courses, respected Principal Garu, Vice Principal Garu, PG Director Garu, IQAC Convener Dr. G. Ramu Garu, Professor R. Srinivas Rao Garu, for their